YouTube, Damo_23 here, and welcome back to another video on the YouTube channel. Today, it's of course another Fantasy Premier League episode as we look ahead to double game week number 7 and, well, what I'm potentially planning to target. We'll also have a look back at last game week, a game week where I got a small little red arrow and some good amount of returns. But if you are enjoying the content, do give it a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Me and Paulie last night had just filmed another episode for our fantasy podcast that we do. No live stream, but just the podcast. And the link will be down below, so you can go and check that out. Let's get straight into it though. As you can see on screen, we got 77 points. But I want to show you guys this. It is a table. That is correct. I love my Excel spreadsheets. And that just outlines the year so far. So as you can see, we have a game week rank of 284k to start with, then 2.7 mil and a bit of a red arrow of 324k, and then we have got a very good game week the week after, and game week 3 put us into the top 150k. Game week 4 inside the top 1 mil of a game week into the 46k. Game week 5, not the greatest game week, our worst game week of the lot, with the Archer punt not going well, and then the game week we just had, 2.5 mil game week rate, which I'm going to show you on screen, and the point breakdown, 109k, but a very small red of only 14,000, which I don't mind. If you do enjoy this little graph, it looks pretty cool, I feel, as well. Team value-wise is going to change because we've already made some transfers, and obviously the punt on Hoyland, if you did watch the short out on the TikTok of the fantasy, FPL Parter channel or / on the YouTube, you know that as much as we pick Hodgland, it wasn't the best punt that we have gone for. With that being said though, let's go into the team here as well. Pickford for 2 points, don't need to speak about him too much. Colwell for 2, obviously the red card and conceding, it is what it is. Ben Chilwell's already left the team, but I will say this as a disclaimer, with the Gusto red card and with the lack of options they probably do have at the back, I do think Chilwell goes in at left back and plays very attacking, and Diarcy goes to right back, or Sasado, and that means Colwell move into centre back, is what I'm thinking is going to happen. So if you got Chilwell and you haven't sold him, I don't hate you holding him, and I did this so I could fund other moves as well. If I didn't have to fund other moves, I probably would have kept Chilwell and sold Colwell, I think, as well. Estupian with the 6-pointer with the assist. Botman, what a hero, what a legend. We've had him in since game week 3 on the bench, so nice to get with the points and have everyone try to transfer him in and get the price rises there. Maddison with an assist. It looks like, by the way, for his injury, his 2 assists, I should say, with his injury, it's going to be okay, and he would play against Liverpool. Doesn't bother me if he does play against Liverpool, not being a Liverpool fan, but from fantasy-wise, especially with Saka's injury looking like he's not going to play against Bournemouth, we probably need at least Maddison to play, or else our bench might be a little bit light. Bruno with a 10-pointer, nice to see him finally score, obviously a great player. And Mbeumo with 1, Saka with 13, we've already touched on his injury. Salah is fantastic, and Haaland on 12 points. It is not bad, 77 points is a very good game week, but unfortunately, that is still a red arrow because there's a lot of guys that had Trippier, Botman, Cher, Gordon, Isaac, Wilson. They all got points, especially with what's gone on. Now, in terms of the team, I've already made my 2 transfers. So the 2 transfers I already made was obviously planned in the last couple of episodes. Semenyo we brought in a few weeks ago as a placeholder for Morris. Semenyo has come out for Morris, and Chilwell has gone out for Kabore. Main reason for that for that latter one, there was mainly I sold Chilwell basically, but after all the games finished straight away to avoid any other future price drops. We did get a 0.1 increase on dollars there, and so many of the Morris is always planned, and that was perfectly fine. It does mean that me moving forward, I can make a very, very cool move in game week 8, which I'll explain as well. But if you look at the team at the moment, it's Pickford against Luton, which I will think Everton concede, obviously with me having the captain's armband on Morris, which I will talk about. Kabore in the double, Estupian against Villa, and Botman against Burnley. I'm very happy with that back 3, and if it all goes wrong against Everton, against Luton if it all goes wrong for the Luton boys against Everton, it means Pickford's kept his first clean sheet of the year, and I'll get the Pickford clean sheet points. If it finishes 0-0, it probably hurts my captaincy, but it probably gives me some really good points at the back. Liverpool and Madison, it's fine. That game's going to finish like 5-5. We both can't defend. Bruno against Palace, definitely not moving. A lot of people transferring out in Bremo. Don't know why you would before a Forest fixture. Saka's starting for now, but I don't expect him to start, so it will be Colwill that will come in. But if I get news that Saka is going to play, we'll run him against Bournemouth, of course. Salah against Spurs, yet again, both teams can't defend. Not too concerned. And then the big decision. I'm punting on Morris as captain this week. That is correct. I'm punting on Morris as captain over Haaland against Wolves. There's a few factors here. We did discuss it on the podcast in more depth. If you want to check that out, the link is down below. It is mainly because a few reasons. A, Haaland's away form hasn't been great over the last year and a half of sample size. His first year in the Prem was second this year. We've obviously seen against West Ham very wasteful. I don't think that's a trend that will always continue, but I do think that there is a world where Haaland is, not going to go and get you big hat tricks or 4 goals and really kill your rank. Second thing as well, being a double game week, at worst, you think Morris plays 90, he hasn't been booked yet, doesn't get booked. Next minute, it's 4 points. Captain him is 8. So that means Haaland, in order to really hurt me, would have to probably get a 16-pointer without being captain. And then everyone captains him, and all of a sudden he gets to 32, and then I'm in big trouble, right? It's a world where it could happen, but I think there's a lot that could happen. The flip side, reason I like captaining Morris, I think if you bring him in, you probably should be captaining him if you've transferred him in. If you already had him in the team, I don't think you have to. I don't think that's a great reason, but I do think there is something psychologically that you probably have to think about there. The main reason I like bringing him in is he has looked decent in the games where it's been against weak opposition. They've actually had a really tough start, Luton. Everton have not been great defensively. Burnley are going to play this high line, and Kabore is going to bomb on the right, and they're going to get space in behind you if you're against Burnley. With Morris, he's the only real main goal threat for Luton. He scored on the weekend. He also had a good header saved, and he hit the post from distance, scored the pen. Being on penalties, being their main goal threat, in a double game week against Everton and Burnley, if Luton are going to score, and if they're ever going to score goals and multiple goals, this is the time Morris will be the one involved. And with that being said, I think punting on a guy on a double game week over everyone else having a single game week, couple that Kabore could assist him as well, because he's the most creative player on the Luton side if you look at the numbers. I think it just makes sense that this is a week to punt. Like I did when I brought Archer in against Everton, knowing Everton will concede, I'm doing the same thing with Morris, but to a different extent, where I'm going to captain Morris as well. Let me know if you're going to captain Morris, if you have him. I don't think everyone will. I think that the pro and con of having a differential there is either A, he's that much of a differential anyway, you don't have to captain him, or B, in the way I'm thinking about it, is I think there's potential that he outscores Haaland because he has two games in a double. If I captain him and it does happen, it's a massive, massive rank game, which is really, really good. Now, if you look at Fantasy Football Hub and you go to the My Team tab, because obviously we're an Ultra member, so we'll show you this, you will also see that the game doesn't recommend captaining Morris, but they reckon it's close. They reckon against Wolves, Haaland gets an average of 8.7 and Morris gets 8.1. I'd rather take the punt on Morris's 8.1 than Haaland's 8.7. So if Morris is, predicted to get only 5 points over the double and Haaland had 8.7, I probably would go okay. It's probably just Haaland, but I really do think that Morris is a very, very good pick. Now, the last thing I want to discuss is Wildcard. We obviously know it's Wildcard season. If you listen to the podcast or you have not seen the content, I definitely recommend checking Paulie's channel out, because the content comes out thick and fast, and Dom obviously does all our Twitter stuff for FPL Dopada. Both of them have picked the Wildcard. Now, Dom's in a bit of a unique position where he's got Gusto suspended, Jackson suspended, Rico Henry ACL, and he's had a few other blanks. And there's someone else that he has to transfer out as well, by memory, that can't play too. So he's got 4 guys that can't play this game week, plus a couple other blanking stuff, and he had only 44 points last game week. That's about at least 5 transfers, so that's worth a wildcard. Paul played his wildcard in the podcast last night, and it was mainly down to he has a couple fires to put out, and if he was really going to try and make transfers, it would be 8 transfers that he could potentially make. And he decided that instead of taking a -8 to kind of fix the team for the, get it to game week 9 or 10, if that's where any wild cards, he decided to play it last night so he could make his 8 or 9 transfers and really set the team up long term. So I feel like if you want a wild card and you've got a lot of fires to put out, you got Gusto, you got Chilwell, that's the other one for Dom. You got Gusto, you got Chilwell, you got Rico Henry, you got Jackson, you've got all of a sudden all these guys that aren't playing in minutes. Really, so you got Ramsdale as well. I can understand it. For me, we're in a different spot. We're in a very good team. Even if Saka's confirmed out for the next 3-4 weeks, my move in game week 8 is for Saka anyway, so I'm fine. Look, Cole will just plays this week if that's the case against Fulham, so be it. I don't mind that. Rather Chelsea defence. It's been the only good thing about Chelsea so far. And then in game week 8, my move's already planned to go Saka to Son with my 1 free transfer. Now, with that being said, reason for Son is even though Haaland's predicted 7.7 points against Arsenal have conceded at home a lot, I do think Luton and Son playing up front equals a captaincy for Son. And I think we're approaching the time where we will be going against Haaland a lot. Haaland goes Arsenal, Brighton, Man United. I think that's, captainable in all 3 because all 3 they will probably score. But I think if you can get Luton, then Everton, then Forest, and that is by captaining Son, then Salah, then Salah, it's much better because you get a really poor defence in Luton. Generally, we score lots of goals against Everton and Salah has a field day in the Merseyside derby. And then against Forest, it's a bit more closer because I think Man United will concede to Haaland a fair bit. But I think also against Forest, if we get the first one, we would run away with the game of our attacking power. With that being said, my plan of wild card has changed. In game week 9, the last 2 game weeks, I've been showing these guys a bit of a wild card draft. I've actually was on stream last night, and I really think a game week 16, 17, 18, or 19 wild card for me specifically is viable. And the reason why is I've had a really good start, my rank's in a really good spot, and my team long-term isn't too bad. I'm only ever 2 moves away from a team that I would potentially wildcard to. And this is because I've already got Salah, I'm going to have Son from game week 8, I've already got Bruno, I've already got Botman, I've already got, the people that you probably want there in a Stupid and your Doji. The main reason I would wildcard is it means I have to hold Morris long term, which I don't want to do. It means I've got to probably hold Pickford all the way to game week 19, which is not great. And it also means that we're rotating Turner the whole way through. Only issue is Turner may not be first choice moving forward. There's obviously plans where maybe we take a hit in one of these games and get a keeper out, but I'm just going to run through what my potential plan is to game week 19 if I was to hold on. So obviously Son in game week 8. In game week 9, we did have Colwell. He moves the Matty Cash with the good fixtures. Putting 4 in the bank. Still having a very good midfield. And Mbeumo probably being held a lot longer than other people would hold him, but he's got Burnley. I don't think that's an issue. We also still have double Spurs, which is great. Morris plays Forest. I don't mind riding him. There's a week where we play Archer, obviously. Stupin's going to have a couple good fixtures, and we're going to continue with 1 up front. It means we're not covering Alvarez, and some people might move the Darwin, Nunez, etc. But it is what it is. You can't have everybody. In game week 10, we also make 1 more move as well, and that's when Mbeumo comes out after his good fixtures, and we get to Diaby. That gives me 0.5 in the bank and allows me to do some cool stuff moving forward. And that means that in game week 7, we made 2 transfers. 8, 9, and 10, we make 1 transfer, which sometimes is hard to do if there's a suspension or an injury, etc. I don't like booking in too many transfers, but I think planning it out this way is not too bad, and it's nice to have a plan. In game week 11, we actually roll. And in game week 12, we actually make a couple of very cool moves. In this game week here, we move Maddison down to Matoma, and that's because it goes Wolves, Villa, Man City. It should be okay for Spurs, but the fun to other moves, I think it's really good. Why I would do that for Maddison is I think Son's goal threat is better. And then obviously Matoma comes in for that for Sheffield and Forest, which is 2 really good fixtures for Brighton. And it allows me to take a cheeky little punt up front. And that punt's on Hodgland, who has looked decent. And we will get Luton and Everton and target 2 game weeks with 2 Manchester United assets. If I could go from Maddison to Rashford, I would. But unfortunately, the money's not in the bank. So to go to Matoma and Hodgland over Maddison and Morris, I would definitely prefer Matoma and Hodgland to get Morris out the team. That is for sure. In game week 13, if you have a look there as well, we would roll the transfer. Before in game week 14, we make 2 transfers, which are very exciting again. It is Bruno Fernandes to Luis Diaz to free up funds. and Luis Diaz does look the most nailed out of the left-winging options. There is a world where it's Gakpo and there is a world where it's Jota, but being a Liverpool fan, I'm most confident that Diaz and Darwin, who's the other option, start majority of our games moving forward. With that being said, for Fulham and Sheffield and Palace potentially, I can get Diaz and Darwin in for Hodgson and Bruno. Two game week punt on Hodgson, had Bruno this whole time to game week 14, and then we get to take some fun in game weeks 14 and 15. In 15, we also bring in Anthony Gordon, one transfer for Diaby to attack Everton, Spurs, and then Fulham. He looks like he's starting. Also frees up funds in the bank. In 16, we would roll the transfer. In 17 as well, we would probably leave it as is too. There is a transfer in there, but I can't remember what it is. And then in 18, we would make two transfers, and it would be Darwin to Solanke, who plays Forest, and it would be Martinez in for Pickford for a 1 week punt to hopefully double up on Cash and Martinez at the back to get points. That's not too bad. I think it is a roll in 17. We actually made a transfer in 16 as well, but I can't remember what it is. But anyhow, that would be the team. And then in 19, we would wildcard. Potentially, that's my game week 19 wildcard. It would be a Sanchez in goals because Chelsea's defensive fixtures swing around again. We know that they're decent defence. Estupiñán, Cole comes back into the team. Botman, Son, Salah, and Arsenal's fixtures after 19 are pretty good, so you want at least one asset. So Saka, Anderson's in the team. It's only because he's been starting. It is a rough draft, and I don't really have too much money in the bank. It means that we have Diaby to hold through some fixtures. Same with Matty Cash. Doji still on the bench as well to go still double Spurs. Archer will be in the team because I think it's a 4.5. We just set and forget. And because this is where Man City's fixtures swing good, I would finally get to Haaland and Alvarez depending on price drops, price rises, etc. And this is the thing. This is a very rough draft, and game week 19 is a long way away. But I really do think if I could hold on to them because my team looks like it's planned out very well, it is potentially viable. I am definitely more of a favour in game week 9, 10 wildcard because you can attack a lot of Liverpool fixtures and you can attack a few other fixture swings and get rid of some Chelsea assets. I've never been on Jackson. I've never been, we've just got rid of Chilwell and Coble's only one move out. So that kills all the Chelsea assets. I've got Salah and all my other fixtures are pretty good. And it means I'm doubled up on Son and Maddison for a long while, which I think is very, very viable. I think I'm in a position where I could hold to the game week 19, which I think would give us a very good benefit of looking at future data and building a really good team to get from 19 through to 32, where's the potential next wild card. And I think even though that's a very long-term view, that might be the plan, and it won't be a game week 19, it won't be a game week 9 or 10 wildcard. With this being said, that's going to bring us to the end of the episode. If you've enjoyed the episode, give it a like to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you enjoyed that long-term thinking and planning, let me know in the comment section and what you would maybe do. I know that was a little bit more wordy. I think all our episodes are more wordy. But if you enjoy that sort of stuff, also leave me a comment and let me know. In terms of the team, we're captaining Morris. We're locked and loaded. It's got to be, anguishing watching Man City against Wolves. But hopefully, fingers crossed, Morris gets a return in the first game. We wake up early for the Luton game here in Australia at 4:30. And we put on our orange high-vis tops. And we really see that it is Morris banging a hat-trick in against Luton. It would be fantastic. With that being said, guys, I'll see you guys till next time. Thank you very much. Have a great one and goodbye.